Yo, what's up guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we are reacting to a coffee request. If you want to request a video, click over here or go over to Buy Me Coffee, and thank you for your support. Your support keeps me here full-time on YouTube, so thank you so much. And today's video is from Whiplash, who says, Yes Theory, How They Met. After watching the emotional and amazing first part of the Syria documentary, you had some questions about the origin of Yes Theory. So let's rewind time back to the start. So this is finally telling the story of how we met by Yes Theory. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and let's check out Yes Theory, how we met.
You know those stories about couples falling in love at first sight and then deciding to give up everything to spend time with one another even though they just met? Well, as confusing as that might sound, that is exactly how Amar, Matt, Darren, and myself, Thomas, ended up on this crazy journey together.
There are 4? I thought there was 3. Last time I saw 2 of them, I thought there were 3, and now there's actually 4. It's multiplying. So let me get their names.
Is exactly how Amar, Matt, Darren, and myself, Thomas, ended
Okay, so Amar, Matt, Darren, and Thomas
up on this crazy journey together.
Are they still all
I'm about
together?
to tell you how the 4 of us went from strangers to best friends. To be honest, the way it happened is quite unusual, and our friendship was probably never supposed to happen. But let's do a quick rewind to where each of us started in the early 1990s.
That rewind sounds very familiar to like the YouTube rewind sound.
In the early 1990s. Let's start with Amar. From a small industrial city in the middle of the desert in Egypt, Amar moved away from home on his own when he was 15 to pursue education abroad, starting in South Africa. He eventually ended up on the west coast of Canada for university. Darren left Turkey when he was 18 to pursue his undergraduate and graduate studies at NYU in New York City, and in the summer of 2015, after graduating, he decided to move to Montreal for only a couple of weeks to write a movie with a friend. Matt, born in New York City but raised in Paris, ended up going to college at McGill University in Canada. And then there's me, Thomas. I was born in Paris to Swedish parents, and I also ended up at McGill University. Now that you know how the 4 of us ended up in Canada at the same time, let's get to the part of the story that gets complicated. And what makes
this explains a lot. This explains a lot of why they love different cultures, because they were born in one place, traveled to another place, and met in another place. All 4 of them, which is so cool. It's something that I did as well. You know, I was born in one place, grew up in another place, and another place, and another place. And yeah, definitely the type of channel that I should be watching. Well, that's so cool. So we have 4 people from, I think Amar is from Egypt. Yeah, I'm just trying to repeat this so I can memorize it. But yeah, so we have New York, Egypt, Turkey, and Paris, but Sweden at the same time. French and Swedish. Okay, interesting.
Makes things complicated is that we didn't meet all at once. Matt and I met 4 months before I graduated university through a marketing class. See, Matt had founded a streetwear clothing company, and my group in the class had the task of helping him figure out an effective marketing strategy. I was 40 minutes late to our first meeting, and we didn't really stay in touch after that. But 6 months later, we bumped into each other in the street, and I told Matt that I was just learning how to make videos and how to edit, but that I needed some help. So the next day, he was at my front door, and we were already out filming.
That's so cool. So they were doing happy pranks?
We brainstormed for weeks, every single night, at the bar he was working at to figure out how we could regain direction in our lives while making this the best summer we've ever had. We finally decided to embark on the massive challenge of doing 30 things we have never done before in 30 days and make a video about the adventure every single day. Wow. And we call this idea Project 30. I started telling everybody.
And here's something that maybe you missed, but the simple fact that he said, I was learning to make videos. It's not that they were born with this creative talent. It's something that he was learning to do, and obviously he has talent for it. But sometimes we think that we need to be born with some specific, video making talent. But the fact that he said he was learning, so well, the video I saw for the documentary, that is a lot of work put into it, a lot of study, a lot of education, and a a lot of willpower to make that big of a production value. So that's pretty cool. If you want to do something and you can't right now, just learn how to do it. And that's something that I needed to do as well, because I wasn't a video editor. I wasn't. I had to learn every part of the, you know, of the wheel of the machine so that it would turn, which is something that a lot of people hold back today, rather than just starting and learning along the way. So that's pretty cool to notice.
Project 30. I started telling everybody about this idea. My friends, my bus drivers, strangers at parties, really anybody who would listen. And lucky enough, slightly tipsy, I ended up meeting this incredible
So he
guy at a
started
party
all of
called
it.
Andrea. Right off the bat, I told him I couldn't afford rent over the summer because I was investing all my money into buying a camera and editing software. Without any hesitation, he offered me his couch to crash on and his apartment to be my editing station for the month. I
Nice.
eventually ended up living on that couch for the entire summer. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before that, something else important happened. At one of my best friend's going away parties, I got a tap on my shoulder from a guy who was neither invited nor knew anybody there. After chatting for a little bit, he told me he was the only
Sounds like
person
him.
in the world with a
I
legal
think.
permission to climb the Great Pyramid of Giza. I
Wow.
hardly believed him, but it's actually true. He also told me he was building his own tech startup, which had a similar ideology
how
to
and
Project
why?
30, which we were just about to start. We hit it off immediately after sharing some personal stories, and we instantly knew that we were going to become best friends. And before he left, he reminded me of his name, Amar. Now, Amar was only supposed to be in Montreal for 5 more days before
Fun fact: amar means to love in Portuguese and Spanish. Amar, to love. Great name.
heading down to New York City to continue raising money for his tech startup. I had space in my apartment, so I offered him my couch for those days, and I asked him if he'd be willing to help us film. He accepted, and during those 5 days, Matt, Amar, and I came as close to falling in love as 3 heterosexual men possibly could. We instantly
Bromance.
became brothers and were blown away by the chemistry and complementary skill set the 3 of us had. Anything felt possible. And then, literally on the night that Amar was about to leave Canada, it was 2 a.m. and he had already packed his bags. His eyes lit up. He stood up in the middle of the living room and said that he had had a vision and an overwhelming feeling in his chest that there was no other option than for him to stay. So, against all logic, Amar dropped everything he was working on to stay in Canada and finish Project 30
Good-
with us.
good
And
choice.
since my apartment lease was up 4 days into knowing each other, he had to move on to Andrea's couch with me. But there's still someone missing in this story. See, Andrea happens to be an incredibly generous guy and had also promised his couch to another one of his friends, Darren. On the 5th day of Project 30, Darren arrived to Andrea's apartment and joined us in filming the video for that day. He was instantly sold and dropped all the project he had planned for the month to experience
know
what ended
Darren.
up being the best month of our lives.
This is my friend Thomas, and it's his birthday today. He's raising money for charity.
It literally tastes like a rock.
They were just having the best times of their lives. What was that scene though?
I have to sign you my team. We're signing up.
Wait, this was very out of context. Why is he in the shower like that? Okay, never mind.
For our team, baby.
Mayor is not available.
Clearly, he's busy, but we're gonna meet him. This guy has no idea.
So they,
What's up, fellas?
Everything's over, eh?
so their channel. Wait,
Meeting
their channel is basically a bucket list. That's their content, a bucket list. That's basically it, right? And they're just living their best lives.
Meeting interesting strangers right off the bat seemed insane to everybody around us. But sometimes trusting your gut and letting serendipity do what it does best really pays off.
See you on Sunday. I think that was nice.
Wow. Oh, this is a full series. Yes, Theory Origins. So it's talking about philosophy, fate, money, pain, and you. Okay, so it's like a full series, Origins. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Wow, yeah, that's pretty cool. That was very insightful of how they met, and it's a great story. You know, it's what what everyone kind of wants in their lives, to meet people, like-minded people, and just follow their dreams together. And that's the golden goose right there. That's the thing everybody strives for. I know I wish I had a group of like-minded people to help me create my content, and maybe that will happen one day. Maybe I'll just meet strangers who will become best friends and do that. But it is a kind of like a love story, where a lot of people also strive for that, just to meet somebody who they'll live the rest of their lives with. So that's pretty cool. That's a Cinderella story right there. Everything was set in motion. It's crazy, isn't it? And they do great stuff today, and they are at 9.4 million subscribers. That's amazing. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Whiplash, for sharing this with me. Guys, still so good quality and editing. Indeed, yeah. This was from 7 years ago, and their content back then was already very good. Good editing, very nice pace. They already understood back then how to set up a video, which is pretty cool. Anyways, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you want to request a video just like Whiplash did, go over to Buy Me a Coffee, click over here, or click over here to see my next video reaction. Take care. Bye-bye.